Hey guys, it's Mark back again with another review. I've got here two Indian market grey Nicolls bats. So the deal is here that these are only sold in the Indian market, so don't ask me how I got them, because they're not actually my purchase. We've got here a GN Players GN9 and an Ultimate GN7. Now, in the Indian market, the bats pretty much correspond to the UK equivalent models. So you've got here ones with middles, fair bit of concaving, as you can see there. Not a huge amount of bow. That one's got a little bit more. So, what do the numbers mean? Well, from what I can work out, the Legend that they sell in India is a GN10, meaning their top grade reserve willow. And then they have a Players, which is also a bat sold in the UK, but the stickers are generally different, don't have this GN grading system. The other difference that you can see there is these have a red metallic stamp rather than the black stamp on other bats, so that's an easy way to distinguish the Indian made equivalents. They still have lots of stampings and that you'd be familiar with in the equivalent Australian bats. This one's slightly different, it's only got one stamp. Just going to bring over a Dynadrive. So this is the Dynadrive I'm currently preparing at the moment, which is all nice and oiled. And you can see there the square Q, and you've got UA there. Just compare that with a V there, and you've got very similar stamps there. So I'm very much guessing that these are made in the same exact factory, with the difference being colour of the stamp and the variation of the bat for local conditions. So I'll put that one away. That's coming along there, Scott. So, unfortunately, you got a little bit of shipping dents and that, which I have to take out. Generally, you've got a fairly tidy looking bat. These have got the traditional style stickers on them that you would see on the English handmade bats. Don't know what they're called. I think they're the Heritage series. Don't quote me on that, I haven't got an iPad in front of me. So this is just below their top level apparently. I can see a little bit of a blemish up here and one down here, but in the playing area there's not really anything. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 and a 10th grain. Grains not perfectly straight through the toe. A little bit of toe damage there. That can be sanded out. This bat here is the heavier of the two. This is 210.5. It's got probably a 40, just under 40 mil edge. Spine running almost into the toe. 26 mil. And 15 mil at the shoulders. Concaving on this one, you got a good 2 to 3 mil of concave, running pretty much from the shoulder all the way through to the toe. That provides the bat with great balance. As far as the handle goes, it's got the typical zone plus grip, and it says 210 there. Can't really see any major difference. Let's just compare that to the Dynadrive. Well, slightly different knob on it. Binding looks pretty much identical. Let's have a look at this one. This one's even more similar. Even the numbering on them from the Dynadrive to this Ultimate to here is very similar. Handle on this one is pretty similar. The only difference is this one's got a rubber insert and this one has thin cork inserts, and this one has the rubber inserts, and this tag is glued on, so I can't really get much into that. You can see the cork inserts. Compare that with that one. Look, as far as I can tell, they're made in the same factory. So that's interesting. Bags that come with them are different to what we see on the Australian market. Full length, padded at the back. I don't think they're as nice as the ones we get here. I've got a sample of that over. Much better padded. This is the one that came with the Dynadrive, so much nicer quality. Okay, that's the players, so I'll put that one aside. And this is the Ultimate. Now this one peaks at a 37mm edge, or 36, and the toe dimensions I think were a little bit smaller. Actually, I think they were identical, shoulder and toe, just smaller edges. I'm going to give this one a tap up. I've changed the setting on this camera, so you may notice a little bit less sound dampening that I got in the other video. That's not bad. I like that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 and a tenth on the edge. That bat there weighs 2.79. This one was 2.106, I think. We'll give this a tap up. So yeah, they ping pretty damn well, if you ask me. Other differences to the two bats here, we've got the Ultimate and the Players. You can see there the edge width down the toe is the same and pretty much identical up at the shoulder here. Handles are identical. The big difference is here the bulge of the edge is much more pronounced on the Players bat, and it's much more in a mid-low position with the spine peaking mid, whereas the Ultimate is just a middle, as you can see there. Unfortunately, these suffered a bit of damage in freight, with the big difference being there's no warranty that's really going to cover them if there's a problem. So when you buy bats from the Indian market, you've got to realise that you're going to be liable for any damage that occurs if they break. GN here in Australia is not going to cover you. You may get a discount, but at what cost? As far as finishing goes, I don't think the overall sanding quality is as good as some of the GNs here, but I mean, let's be honest, the GNs you get in the shops aren't really that pristine as far as grain look to some other bats that you can get on the market. So, you know, for the sake this has got nice, fairly even, straight grains that will become much more prominent once this is oiled. And this would probably be equivalent to select grade 1. Handle shape. Semi-oval bottom and slightly semi-oval top. Much thicker on this one. Balance is really good on that one. And this one feels pretty much round at the top and slightly semi-oval at the bottom. So this one feels slightly more what you would get in the Indian market. I'd use that because I like a round handle anyway. But I'm old school. I grew up with a GN that had a round handle. So, you know, comparing apples with apples or apples with lemons, who knows. Toe shape, same. Assuming that they all go through the same sort of hydraulic press. 108.3, 107.1, and this one even smaller, this is 106.3. So you've got that as a variation too. You've got a little bit of weight that's been taken off using the old width thing, where this one is on spec, these ones are off spec as far as width goes. This one's only about 1 millimetre, so I'm not fussed about that. That one's slightly more. Handmade, I guess, and the pressing does feel different. I noticed the Dynadrives are a much firmer press, these are a softer press, and you can see here the denting that's already occurred in freight. That will come out. So it'll be interesting to see what they tap up like once I've oiled them. So we'll turn it around and I'll bounce a ball on them. Okay, so bouncing the ball on the Ultimate. This is the 2-piece. Noticeably softer style press. Pings quite nicely. Going to tap the Dukes up on it. Definitely a few little seam marks on it, so that's going to need a good preparation. So the GN Players Indian one. This actually feels like a much more substantial bat. It's not just the weight, it's just, it feels nicer in the hands to me. Wow. That feels good. Yeah, it's going quite well. It's denting very easily though. Well, I don't actually mind that. That's a nice bat that the Players. Nice weight. If you can get over the concaving, what that actually creates is a bat that's very, very balanced, and Asian style players would prefer as far as being wristy, and a lot of wood down here in the mid-low position. You're getting onto the front foot, which they need for in those. So as far as the Ultimate goes, it's a slightly different sort of position bat. It's much more mid. As far as the concaving goes, it's identical, pretty much identical toe thing. Makes a much lighter bat. It's only 2.8 dead. I didn't talk about the face camber, but it's pretty much a rounded style face, probably a 4.5mm camber. And just going on about the press again, these seem to be a much softer style press to the ones that we get in the shops here. Now, if that's good or bad, it's pretty much subjective, but as far as ping goes, ping pretty well. So, yeah, I don't actually mind the Indian made ones. I think they're pretty much the same manufacturer as all the other bats that are coming here, other than the ones made here in Australia or made at Robertsbridge in England. There is a slight variation to their pressing, but it must all be the same willow. I mean, yeah. Anyway, Indian GNs.